Well, hello everybody out in the country. Three Dog Night. I gotta tell you, that was really a good group back in the day. Back in the day. So, hello everybody. It is Hump Day. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in, turning on, and being part of the conversation. It's a cool group here. It really is. Hello, everybody in the chat room. So, thank you for hitting the like button. What's with there? Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, that goes without saying, right? Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. So, I think I covered that. Oh, I know what I forgot is speaking favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Which is the best word for peace, right? How do you describe peace? Well, let's see, ain't nothing broken. That's a good thing. Nothing missing. That's a good thing. So, wild thing. Hello, everybody. So, favor, telling you, man, you can never not have enough. And if you're one of those who are here to rescue your soul, well, favor will help make that journey a little bit less iffy, right? What's happening, everybody? Gaia, how are you? Good to see you. Deborah, know thyself. We're all here for a reason and for a season. Yeah, and it's a fun one. Truth, what's up? Good to see you. Felix, greetings. Hello, DC. What's up, Brian? Let's see who else. Rick, how you doing? Good to see you. Peter, dog meat. How you doing? Um, which cartoon was that? The Dog Patch. I'll think of it. Hello, Colleen. Excellent researcher. Yeah. Loretta, good to see you. Sylvia, good to see you as well. I never get a chance to really do this. X not. John, good to see you. Kathy. Yeah, I can dig that. Jesse James, I love it. So good to see you. Thank you. New Yoda and the doctor is in the house. Purgatory Traveler. Miss Gaia, Paul, how are you? Much love to you. Nina, there you are. She does her show. Get over there and watch it. Nina, is that true? You only have it's time to get you more subscribers, right? So if you're not subscribed, get over there and subscribe. Yeah. And that's how I say it. Dave, good to see you, brother. As I go back here and I just say, I even see myself. That's cool. Hey, Lauren, good to see you. She goes by Ginger. Yeah. If we see Miss Sassy in here, you know that's Cindy over there with Mike and Cindy from Evolutionary Energy Arts. They'll be on tomorrow. Looking forward to that discussion. Uh, Gilbert, how are you, brother? I tell you what, love car. I have to show that car. Gilbert's got a hot rod that, yeah. Remember American Graffiti? Gilbert, that car would fit perfect in there, you know, with a young Harrison Ford. That's a great movie. Star-studded, in fact. I don't know how many of you ever watched it, but if you have, and the sequel wasn't bad either. Hello, Kill Your Egregores. Good to see you. Yeah, blessed heretics. We are. And Miss Deborah, how are you, sweetie? Good to see you. So there we go. Took up 3 minutes of doing that. Blazing River, good to see you as well. Little Abner, thank you. There we go. Now, people born past the year 2000 wouldn't know what we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, the comics were like the really only interesting thing in newspapers. It's amazing how correct we were, even as kids. But anyway, so we discovered this morning we have fat squirrels. Yeah, I mean, one particular squirrel, like really, this told Lynn, I said, we're either going to have to get a little mini treadmill out there or figure out how to keep them out of the bird seed, but they're fat. What else is going on? Any of you catch the spectacle yesterday? Oh, man. I mean, so Lynn and I, getting things done, and we're watching this thing with Trump because follow this dude. I mean, what's going on, folks, is not normal. No fucking way is this normal. What we're seeing, I don't know. You know, my biblical training um, lends me to think about the so-called tribulation. And the tribulation is divided up in two parts. The first 1,500 plus days, thereabout, it's all glory. Things are going well. The and I'm not saying that this is the case, but in the story, this Antichrist guy is going around making peace, making deals, defies death, and then you get the other 3.5 years, which really suck. So I don't know. Did we switch timelines? Now Trump is not for Israel. Nita, I don't know, sweetie. I know this. What we were watching yesterday. Oh, I put together a presentation. So let me get to the presentation, then we can get into the discussion. Because, folks, we're witnessing something here. Mount Olympus is alive and well. The demigods, the demigoddesses, they didn't leave. There may have been a lull. I don't know. Maybe they took a nap and getting ready for the big show. You know, could be. But I know this, the demigods and goddesses are on the move. Now, in the Western culture, we've been taught, we've been brainwashed to not believe in these beings. They're here, been here. And because of such ignorance of Western culture, Western philosophy, Western theology, it's all built on ignorance. And today, the modern person is more ignorant than a person 2,000 years ago. Oh, we got fancy gadgets, but yeah, we can't even compete. But nevertheless, we've been taught in Western culture that there's only one God. That's bullshit. There's lots of gods. It's even in the Bible. You're a god. I'm a god. You know, you get to be a god. You get to be a god. You're a god. I'm a god. We're all god. But there's different type of gods. Complicated. It's a structure that's been here longer than we have. And actually, depending on your point of view, this is the testing ground. And depends on what happens for you if you get your diploma and you get your, you know, get your little medallion and get to be another demigod, the goddess. Woohoo! Right? So, let me that there is so much in this. Um, I think you're going to like this. And I say that because, I'm the guy that put it together. All right. So Trump is all about the golden age, bringing back the golden age. That's code talk. It's code talk for these gods and goddesses, demigods. Uh, they're here. So the term Golden Age comes from Greek mythology, particularly the works and days of Hesiod, and is part of the description of temporal decline of the state of peoples through 5 ages. Gold being the first and the one during which the golden race of humanity lived. Are you aware that there is or was, may have their descendants, their DNA, but there was a version of us so-called Homo sapiens, they were the golden race. They literally were gold in color. That's amazing. And they lived in this time of where we have depictions of it in every religion, that where the mortals walked with the immortals. And, there was intermixing, there was interdating, hell, there was intercoitusing going on. But anyway, it wasn't this sun that was here, it was another one. We are not in the place where we started from. I don't know if you knew that or not. So, this golden age, what is it? Well, it was an age when the deathless gods created the golden race of men. It was a time of prosperity and peace that allowed all living beings to live in harmony. Now, I'm a hippie. I came into this time. In fact, favor on my life. I got to do the things at 15 that everyone that I was hanging out with was 4, 6, 7 years older than I was. That's all right. But we really dug the peace thing, you know? So I can dig this harmony. I have no doubt they had Woodstock or a version of Woodstock. And I can only imagine what those bands must sound like. Oh, folks, I think on these things all the time because this is an illusion. In fact, this is a really dirty illusion that we're in. We're in the Iron Age of humanity. And the Iron Age of humanity sucks. It means that you're going to have to struggle, work, suffer, be subjugated. It just, yeah. So, anyway, so this peace that allowed all living beings to live in harmony, to be happy, and in love. Yeah. I like the world. So, it is said that in this age, animals could speak with human voice, and no one would grow old or get ill. Mm-mm-mm. We're all feeling that. It's triggering in us. We're going, yes, Steiger. Uh-huh. I remember something. I got faint memories, but yeah, this kind of I resonate. Yeah, maybe that's what we're waiting for again. I don't know. But if the golden age is going to come in, there's going to be a different set of gods. Count on it. This one that has been over the iron race, us, it's got to go. You know, I'm just telling you, it is time. And, I can get behind this golden age. Who wouldn't be? Unless you're into the suffering thing. That's all right. Together, they lived in abundance of everything. And even when their time was over, the death came during sleep without any pain. Is this resonating with some of you? Mm-hmm. Hmm. This time was placed during the rulage of the Titans, where Cronus was a leader after dethroning his father Uranus. Uranus. Love that word. Tell me these gods don't have a sense of humor. But anyway, I digress. But instead of living in peace, Cronus, as we know, after hearing the prophecy of being overthrown by one of his children, went and ate 5 of his children when they were born. Yeah. You see, and from that kind of a story, you get this whole thing, drink this is my blood, eat this is my body. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Um, it really sucked. Except for Zeus, who later came and set his brothers and sisters free. They then rebelled against their father, and it all escalated to a 10-year war called the Titanum Monarchy. which more or less ended the golden age in destruction. So we have a demigod, Trump. It's exactly what he is. Um, it's not made God yet, but he's definitely, advanced upon mortal. Um, this thing that we witnessed yesterday, I'm going to get more into it. It was amazing. So he talks about bringing in this new golden age. Well, then that's going to require the Iron Age of humans to have to make a change. And so the story goes that Zeus created the last race of man called the Iron Race, where Hesiod put himself in. It is a time of constant stress and labor. Morality is gone, and men are constantly opposing each other, lying, and seeding mistrust. Sound familiar? Hell yeah! It is a time where humans grow old quickly and are consistently beset by troubles and pressures. At the peak of this age, people will no longer feel shame or regret at wrongdoing, and there will be no help against evil. Mankind will be forsaken by the gods and the goddesses, and Zeus is set to return one day to destroy this race, just like he had done in the past. Hmm. Well, there's your problem. I mean, yeah. I mean, look at our government today. I mean, it's crazy to see these political parties and one that's just become they've lost their freaking minds. I mean, it's no longer common sense. They ain't got no sense to it at all. There is no morality. Those who lie accuse the other side of lying because they're the lying, and it's like, and you think about it, thank you, Obama, that we have now the United States government is the single largest producer and distributor of propaganda. Lies. The United States government. Lies. They all lie. And you see, the insanity of it is that you and I sit here and they teach us that, well, it's a mortal sin. You have a real problem, son, with your integrity of character. You can't tell the truth. You lie. Well, they all lie. And once you're a liar, nothing that you're going to say is going to be trustworthy. So, anyway, here we are. Iron. That sucks. Because the thing about iron, you know, it's ferrous. It is attracted to a magnet. Gold's not. I have no idea the comparison on that, right? Okay, so the proverb says that which was shall yet be again. Okay. And we're smart enough we can look back. At least we've got some records, right? And we've seen cycles. I'm predicting here that you're going to see the return in fashion of what we had in 1970 bell bottoms. I have no doubt the hip huggers will come back. Y'all, you ladies remember that. All right. So there's a difference between gods and demigods, right? So throughout mythology, gods and demigods have held significant places in shaping the narrative of human existence, the natural world and divine realms. While both groups possess supernatural powers, the distinction between gods and demigods lies primarily in their origin, scope of power, and relationship with humanity. Gods, as supreme beings, are fully divine and often represent cosmic forces, while demigods exist in a liminal space between humans and gods, possessing both human and divine attributes. Exploring the roles of gods and the demigods in various mythologies reveal important difference in their nature, authority, and significance in religious and cultural traditions. Trump is a demigod, but he is not alone. Um, Not all humans that are in positions of power are demigods. Most are still mortals. They long to be in that class. Um, there's others that, because of the power that they have access to and the information and the knowledge, there are, how shall we say, bridges where mortals can become demigods. And then if you go with the belief that says that we're all gods in a sense, then that's the whole thing that makes this so bizarre is that, well, everybody's a freaking god. And then within being a god, you have rank, position, power. As above, so below. So gods are supreme and immortal beings. Gods are the primary deities. And we the thing that always gets me is that some people, as I go over here, um, is that this illusion of monotheism. But anyway, um, that's a recent thing, because we can look at other cultures in the past and realize that this monotheistic thing is it's a mind worm, and we're going to get rid of that parasite. It's been prophesied. So they're the primary deities in many polytheistic traditions, including Greek, Roman, Norse, and Hindu mythologies, and I guess you can call them mythologies. I think they're history. They are usually immortal beings who embody specific aspects of the universe or human experience, such as love, war, wisdom, or the elements. Gods are often seen as the archetypes of the world and the protectors of universal order. Where the hell are they? That's all I got to ask. They exist beyond the limits of time and space. I swear they're out smoking a joint. I mean, and they just forgot what was going on. Possessing unlimited power, knowledge, and immortality. Yeah, I believe the gods get high. Yeah, they're the ones that invented it. So, anyway, because cannabis is actually a sacred element. The reason why people get stoned on that is that they're not understanding it's not just the euphoric of being high, but something else. And if you don't address it, that's where the paranoia. I digress. Hey, how's the bus ride so far? All right. For example, in Greek mythology, Zeus rules the sky and is considered the king of all gods, while Poseidon governs the sea and Hades oversees the underworld. So, who's greater? Um, so, so a demagogue. So you got demigods, then you got the demigods. You following? Sure. I liked how one blog I read, and it wrote, and it said that newbies get slaughtered in times like this. I thought, ain't that the truth? I mean, if you're just recently becoming aware, um, it can be freaking overwhelming. Many of us, we've got decades on you, and so yeah. So just remember that. They get frustrated how hard it is to find themselves and lost the ability to think for themselves. When that happens, they seek for help and confirmation. Most of them find refuge in the perfect words of a guy we'll call the new golden age God. appears to be a new god coming around. Demagogues advocates action without deliberation, appealing directly to the emotions of the newbie, poor, and uninformed. He tells lies and stirs up hysteria, where your emotions are so strong that you behave in an uncontrollable way. He exploits crisis to intensify popular support for his cause. If you oppose his view, you'll be accused of disloyalty, and the common people fall into his trap. The demigod is a leader who tries to get support by making false claims and promises during the arguments based on emotion rather than reason. And you can look on both sides on this one. I'm just simply giving what the definition of this. A demigod or rabble rouser. I love that term, rabble rouser. Gilbert, some reason I think, I love that term, is a political leader. And that's what we should maybe start calling Trump. He's a rebel rouser. How that? Is a leader, political leader in a democracy who gains popularity by arousing the common people against elites, especially through oratory that whips up the passions of crowds, appealing to emotion by scapegoating out groups, exaggerating dangers to stroke fears, lying of emotional effect, and other rhetoric that tends to drown out reasoned deliberation and encourage fanatical popularity. Demigods overturn established norms of political conduct or promise or threaten to do so. Ain't that special? Um, and so the question, in a sense, he's kind of like this guy. Now, this is just my humbled opinion, but for those who can see into the unseen realm, this this was a challenge. And as the whole world witnessed, survived. Now, opinions go all around 400, 360 degrees, but nevertheless, he did it. I wouldn't stand up there and do that. Taking on the remotest of possibilities of the most diminished percentage, no, just wouldn't do it. And then you think about what's going on. Folks, things are going on here. And I'm not saying it's evil. I can only look under the surface. It seems to be delivering good fruit. But there's no doubt Olympus is alive and the gods are active. The goddesses are active. They're doing impossible things. Science has not made any new leaps in the last, some say, couple hundred years. Well, that's changed. And the thing about demigods is that they're truly visionaries. They have this supernatural power. And yesterday, it was announced to the world, this demigod. And purple was the theme. Now, it's interesting because the previous administration tried to usurp that which comes with the respect of purple. They were just imposters. What we saw yesterday was a spectacle of biblical proportions. Had this been in the time of Rome, Caesar would have declared 30 days of games, sacrifices to this individual. And say what you want of Middle East politics, but the Saudis are the inheritors of the promise to Ishmael. They share with their other brothers into that promise, but no doubt these guys are at the very top. And this purple theme was everywhere. And you could not help but not see how this had to have been either communicated or, I don't know, telepathy. I don't know. But notice Trump has the purple tie on. And if you watch this, the Saudis, the royal family, the prince, um, there were miles of this purple. This was a big, big deal. And so purple represents royalty. Magically speaking, purple is the color of passion and magic. It is used for power, spirituality, meditation, intelligence, religion, and religious devotion. Anything to do with government, truth, justice, and humility. Purple symbolizes the divine, the lady and the high priestess, the planet Jupiter, the day Wednesday, and the zodiac signs Sagittarius and Gemini. It was once the European symbol of royalty. You can use purple in magic spells for healing severe diseases, psychic work, prophetic dreams, to create sigils and to call the ancient ones. In the psychology of color, purple represents spirituality. Start If you start correlating all of this, Trump facing death, passed the test, receives a divine message inspiration, he was chosen, and now wherever he goes, wealth follows, peace. And even those who attack him, who despise him, no matter what, they find themselves on the receiving end of many time curses. These curses show up in their bodies and illnesses that many are just not even discovering yet. It seems like there's something listening in on their private meetings and then communicating that out. It's really bizarre what's going on. And it is going on. And then it's my contention many of these tech titans are demigods. And you can argue against that. It's fine. It's your point of view. It's just mine. And since this is my presentation, uh, the question I ask is how many of the tech titans are demigods? And this is what makes this strange. Because if you look back now, on his second inauguration, he wore purple, but this time was different. The demigods were summoned to Olympus. And Olympus is not just a stationary place, although I do contend it's very possible, but it also has the ability to move its power and its structure. When events like this, where all the gods pay attention, and here you have the wealthiest of the wealthiest. This is not coincidence. And if you look at what happened yesterday, it's full circle now, folks. If I was China, I would really, they're worried because Trump is more than just immortal. I don't know if you caught that when him and Trump and the prince was walking into the palace. the royal guard that was there, all of them had pure gold swords. Folks, this is only what gods get that type of reception. And in here, you begin to place these people's faces. The gods, the goddesses were there. And those who were not won't be good for them. This is not just mere mortals. This is not just mere a diplomatic mission. No, this is deeper than that. Gilbert and I, he was texting me, and it was true. So this investment meeting, this is how it was brought in, um, which the Saudis and the royal family hosted. Um, the prince chose the music, which was very interesting. It was YMC, the Village People. Folks, this this don't happen. It just doesn't happen. There's a whole different belief system. But when you're entertaining, receiving a god, a demigod, this is how it's done. I go in here and I talk about the demigods. What's the difference? You know, demigods are beings with partial divine ancestry, often possessing extraordinary abilities and powers, but not considered full gods. They are typically depicted as having one mortal parent and one divine parent, giving them a unique blend of mortal and immortal traits. In contrast, gods are beings with full divine status, possessing supreme power and authority over specific aspects of the world. Now, I don't stop here a minute because I can take you into the New Testament, um, chapter and verse, where we're told that we, in fact, have this supernatural, this supreme power. We were told by the Christ dude that, well, you are gods. Don't you realize that? You have the power to bind and to loose. And it's not just here on earth. He said specifically to bind in heaven and to bind on earth. You can cast out demons. You can lay your hands upon the sick and they will recover. You can speak. Do you see what I'm saying? You can speak the language of the angels. Doesn't that make you God? Goes on to say they are worshiped and revered by mortals for their godly attributes and abilities. While demigods may have impressive abilities, gods are seen as all powerful and eternal beings in many mythologies and religions. So it gets a little confusing, doesn't it? Because I sit here and I go, okay, I have a certain theology background. Doesn't Hebrews 1:14 says that we were created above the angels and that we are gods and that they are here to service us and that we have the power to bind them, to loose them? Hmm. I don't know. It did because it did not say demigod. It said God. And the Christ dude, he said it too. All right, so you can get real confused on this one. So, okay. Um, maybe the structure is, you start out here as a god. Can you be a mortal god? I don't know. It's not like all gods would be immortal, but apparently, because that's what we seek, right? Is immortality. And we're all going to physically die at some point. The question is your conscience immortal? We all hope so. At least I do. Maybe, maybe you have a different thing going on here. So, okay. Huh. Or maybe we've been lied to, deceived, and we just don't realize that we already have all this. I don't know. Because we know something is for sure going on. Stop right there. Ta-da. There we go. Ta-da. Interesting question because it's happening. And I contend as well. You know, you think about the Romans, I mean, how we got this whole concept on the monotheism, the Abrahamic belief systems. So Vespasian is one who I mean, he was immortal. And then his son, which would be the son of God, is got it to where Vespasian was Caesar and was declared God. All right. So that kind of stuff happened all the time back then. Um, and I'm always drawn back to this whole thing, going back to Samir. We could all the way go back even further that into the Hindu culture. And then the Far Eastern beliefs. They believed that their leaders were gods, whether it was the Chinese, Hindus. Hmm, I don't know. But I do am convinced that it's like the Elohim, you know, who and what the Elohim, because they play a role in this. Because there's apparently, I'm going to bring this out to you. I thought that this was like really cool. Um, so this was on a particular, I forget where it was, but let me just read this to you. This is really cool because it's pertinent into this discussion. Because you see, you got Trump proclaiming that he's with this God of the Bible, and all right, I can dig where he's coming from, and that and that he's now proclaiming Jesus, and that's cool. Um, but the whole problem is with, well, who is God? I mean, is God the Elohim? Is God, Jehovah? Is he Yahweh? Uh, what? So we know the word Elohim is used particularly in Genesis, the second chapter. So I came across this, it says, and who and what are the Elohim? Understanding the Elohim is the key to understanding that the Bible originally had a pantheon of 72 gods. Hello, Nathan. How are you, brother? Uh, Nathan, Frater, who's Zintek, who is there in Poland. Got good stuff, folks. He's over on Etsy and check out his website. But anyway, so these gods were El, the supreme god. Then you had Asherah, his consort, the queen of heaven. The Elohim, the 70 sons and daughters of God. So, how did the Bible end up claiming that there is only one God? What a long, strange trip it's been. Trucking, trucking to New Orleans. All right. Um, so, this is authored by a guy by the name of Michael R. Birch. He did a really good job here. Says the Elohim and the rise of Yahweh. The biblical God Yahweh slash Jehovah, and later Jesus and the mysterious Holy Ghost, are derivatives of several different gods and demigods, some of them Semitic and others from various parts of the world. Gods, capital G, who influenced the evolution of the biblical God included El, Ashroth, Baal, Marduk, Inanna, the first dying and rising god, Horus, and Dionysus. This is how the biblical gods evolved over time. And if you put this together, then you begin to see, oh, all right, wait a minute. That veil is starting to get thinner and thinner. In the Bible's beginning, there was the supreme Semitic god El and his consort Asherah, the queen of heaven, and their 70 sons and daughters, known as the Elohim. We know the names of many of the Elohim, both from the Bible and from extra biblical sources like the ancient Canaanite, Ugaritic, Phoenician, and Mesopotamian text. Prominent names of this pantheon of 72 gods include Al, Ashroth, Anat, Baal, Chemosh, Dagon, Maklam, and Marduk. These names appear prominently throughout the Bible, and we find the name of the supreme god El appearing in important biblical names like Is-El, Dan-El, Sam-El, and other names. If anything, with the name El. It's important to note that the Elohim is obviously plural when used with plural verbs. Thus, in Genesis creation account, we have the supreme God El, get it? Saying to his sons and daughters, the Elohim, let us, and that is the plural, make mankind in our plural own image, and have the narrator saying in the original text, the gods made mankind in their own images. Male and female created they them. I mean, someone had to have a model of Eve, and you got to ask your whole thing. So in the one story, you got Adam there by himself, and that's just a real trip. And yeah. And then you go back to the Sumerian text, and you kind of have, where they got the story from. So the problem we have here then is that you have a book that is said to be monotheistic in its basis, but yet it's very clear the narrative is polytheistic. So how do you reconcile that? We ain't supposed to ask those kind of questions. The author says he begins with polytheism prior to the creation of the Bible. The belief in gods probably began with a sense of awe, as primitive human beings observed the sun, moon, planets, and the stars with a sense of wonder and felt the tremendous effects of earthquakes, hurricanes, and volcanoes. That is one version. I contend that there have been many versions of us where we have had technology, we had electricity, we had plumbing. It's just our stories are always the remnants of the past destruction and the emergence of us again. he goes and says, at times nature seemed benevolent, but other times nature seemed angry, sometimes murderously angry. Nature seemed temperamental, like human beings. Thus, it was natural for human beings to anthropomorphize nature, creating human like gods in the process. Well, that just begs the question, is this all been in our heads? Is there really no such thing as God? I mean, I have contended there's been no one single God that's ever manifested before all of humanity at the same time. It's this big sign in the sky. Here I am, here I am. Okay, sure. All right. So it goes throughout the whole thing that it is our nature to have many gods. I mean, the interesting thing about our species, the male and the female. The males are in awe of wonder because we can't understand to what you ladies keep worshiping. Like in coitus. You're calling out to a god that us dudes are like going, well, who the hell is that? And you know it's true. And then you think about all the other kind of stuff. We make up gods as we go. Guess it's easier that way. Um, and I think they're all connected. I don't think they've ever left. They just go by different names. And then this whole thing that, we think that there's just one God. No. I mean, there may be something above El. I don't know. But the rest of them certainly seem to me more human than they do gods. Of course, what's a god? But we make them up. Whether you've had goddesses like Artemis, Diana, Sin, Selene, it just goes on and on. Planets, yeah. I got to read this one part. I love this. It says sometimes when offerings are made to gods, good things happen. Thus, the gods obviously like human worship, praise, and offering. But when offerings were made and good things didn't happen, did the gods want something more than ordinary food? Did they want enemies to be sacrificed, virgins, drinking of children's blood? I don't know. Even having one god murder his own son. That's whacked out, man. I don't care what anyone says. It says religion quickly became a very bloody business. It's true. And the thing about Trump and Trump as a demigod, he's a peacemaker, but I bet before this show is over with, we're going to see someone test his temperance. Meanwhile, witch doctors who claim to know how to intercede with the gods could make comfy livings without working like everybody else. Known a few of those people. When their magic didn't work, they would inform the gullible that they hadn't offered enough or were too sinful or some other claptrap. Well, brother, it just takes faith. You've got to search yourself in God, and God will show you the way. And oh, by the way, where's your tithe? It says if prostitution is the oldest profession, religion is the most devious and the most profitable. Ain't it the truth? So this thing with Rome, you see, many people think about how they invented Christianity, but when they were inventing Christianity, they had a real problem because, polytheism was everyone. That was still the result of Alexander. I mean, Alexander, 400 or 500 years in the past, longer than that, I guess. Um, you know, he was kind of like an open um, philosophy. So I don't care what your religion is, bring it with you. That's fine. We'll just all sit around here. We'll pass the water pipe and we'll talk about philosophy. So that's how it could do. But the problem the Romans had when inventing Christianity was that um, they had to convert the polytheism idea, root it out, and replace it with this more authoritarian, patriarchal approach. And their next step in the polytheism was the creation of pantheons of gods with specific pecking orders. Typically, there was a supreme god like El, Zeus, Odin, then a hierarchy of more powerful and less powerful gods, followed by demigods who were half human, half divine, like Achilles and Hercules. Maybe, just maybe, that is where we get our divinity. I don't know. But I do know this, something is afoot. And so you've got one major demigod taking center stage now, center stage on the world. And I can't, I'm going to enjoy the conversation with Mike and Cindy tomorrow. And that is, so there's others here, no doubt about it. And the question is, when are they going to come out? I mean, are we talking about G? Is he a demigod? No. Putin. There's no demigod other than potential Charles that I see in Europe. They're all mere mortals. There's no one there that has the fortitude, the pedigree, I'll just leave it at that. You look at the other continents, could there be? I can't help but not think in Africa because that is the motherland of us all, that there's something not there. And I think that this is, as we go forward on this, we're going to see more and more of them coming to the stage. I mean, are they going to bow to Trump? Is that what I'm seeing here? Is that what the world is doing? It's weird, folks. And if you want to believe that the dude is mortal, that's fine. Excuse me. I just happen to think that those folks back in Greece, Mesopotamia, I mean, we could not even begin to imagine to build Babylon. I mean, it was again a wonder from the description. They had advanced sciences on agriculture, cultivation, arts, magic. The gods would visit there physically. We get the story of Daniel and the three other prophets and how that God visited that situation. They're still here. I think it's possible that we've been influenced behind scenes of government policies, but transformations take place. It's like a transfusion of blood. Is it possible at that moment when death was supposed to be at Trump's door, was there an exchange? Another potential entity? Another god? I mean, Olympus is still alive. Those people were not dumb. They were not stupid. They were intelligent. They understood things much deeper than we do. And I can't help but not believe if they believed that there were gods, the stories are replete of these gods taking on human form. We believe in the theory, the hypothesis that they're shapeshifters. If you're a shapeshifter, are you a god, a demigod? Hey, Stephanie Marie, how are you? Yes, I agree with you, hon. She said she read that the children of Adamu and Eve had supernatural powers. Yeah, telling you, it's just what you're willing and can handle. And if you can begin to see events and how you can see others competing, that's what makes it interesting. Um, Others who try to mimic or emulate, imitate, procreate, secretary. Yeah, kind of tells you something there. So that's my take on this, and we'll continue because we are now in that age. And if the golden age is to return, now think about this. So I read to you what that golden age was. Now you know where many of the stories that I bring up. It's kind of like the Thunderbolts project. Go there. Signs of Alien Sky. We knew that there was this time. And there, by the population, most of humanity is forgotten, but it's voices like myself who merely say, here, look, there is this other time. And it tells me something about these bodies right now. So, this is why I have a problem with reincarnation because reincarnation doesn't quite go with the narrative if there have been five different versions of Homo sapiens. And that would then require timelines. They have either been collapsed, erased, or they're much longer than what we have been taught. But if there was a race of beings that had a different flesh, they were bipedal, had craniums, they apparently had brains, they could think, they lived, they walked, maybe they fly, I don't know. But they existed on a planet, this planet, in which it means that this planet has been transformed of itself. She is not what she was originally. That gets complicated. Hey, Susie Q. So we're the iron race. There was the silver race. Wow. Totally sucks. That's all I got to tell you. You know, now I understand that proverb that says iron sharpens iron. It's like, gee, no, man, I want the gold. I want to go back to the golden race. That's where I'm telling you, just telling you from myself, that's where I come from. Hey, Grace, thank you, darling. Uh, so anyway, uh, Mick, good to see you. Kevin, how are you? Which moon? All right. That's all I got. We'll see what Mike and Cindy have to say tomorrow. It because we're in a time, folks. I have no doubt that we're about to have disclosure, and I think it's going to really freak us and not freak us out because we're mentally prepared for that already. It's just the narrative, which I don't think that many are going to be quite prepared for. Some reason I get Mork and Mindy in my head. All right. I have to go back and read the chat room. Well, this has been fun. Let me know your thoughts. And again, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you for the interaction. Y'all have made this. It's like people really like this chat room. It's like, okay, yeah. Uh, so much in science. I don't know, Kevin. I mean, as I have a saying that science is just merely outdated magic. It's like, yeah, I think that many of those answers. Corey, uh, thank you. Honored. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Big hug, everybody. See you tomorrow. Enjoy it. Check Nina out over on hers. Hey, Lost in Space. What's up, my friend? John Price, good to see you. But check out Nina over there. And thank you. Thank you for checking me out. I'm checking you out. You're checking me out. You get to check out. I get to check out. We all get to check out. All right. We're out of here. So much love. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Where's the bloody door?